You know, sometimes it seems to me that a person wants to rise all his life, not only in body, but also in spirit. He builds a tower, bridges over the bottoms, erects statues, as if he wants to remind the sky that he himself is capable of doing miracles. And in each of these stone and bronze giants, there is not just pride, but the desire to be understood, heard, eternal. Today, I want to walk with you around the world and tell you about the greatest of man-made shapes, those who stand above the seas, over cities, over time. Let's start with someone whose silhouette even a child knows. The Statue of Liberty is a lady holding a torch over the waters of New York. I stood at her feet and felt the wind from the Atlantic rustling through the copper folds of her clothes. Her eyes are directed far away, to where a new day is born on the horizon. Given by France in honor of the centenary of American independence, it is like a symbol of friendship between two peoples and a belief that freedom has no boundaries. The French sculptor Frédéric Bartholdi created it with the soul of an artist, and the engineer Gustave Eiffel gave the body a steel frame, the one that allowed it to survive for centuries. When the Lady Liberty stood on a pedestal in 1886, assembled from 350 pieces of copper, America breathed a sigh. Its height is 93 meters, of which almost half occupies the base. In one hand, she holds a torch, illuminating the way. In the other, a plaque with the date of 4th July 1776. And under the foot are broken shackles, a symbol that there is nothing eternal but the pursuit of freedom. Climbing up 356 steps to her crown, you can see 25 windows, symbols of the jewels of the earth. Through them, New York appears not as a city, but as a living being, breathing the rhythm of its streets. And when the sun sets behind the Hudson, the glow of sunset falls on her face, as if she is smiling to a world that has been able to inspire. But if America has given the world a symbol of freedom, Japan has created an embodiment of mercy. On the hills of the city of Sendai stands the goddess Kannon, custodian of compassion and peace. Her white silhouette gently pierces the sky, as if she herself blesses those who lift their eyes to her. The height of this statue is 100 meters, and when you stand at its feet, you feel that before you not just a stone, but kindness itself, frozen in human form. The height of 100 meters is fascinating. Kannon holds in his right hand the pearl of desires, and in his left, a vessel with water of wisdom. Inside the statue, as if in the body of a temple, there is an elevator that takes pilgrims to the top, where the panorama of the city opens. But the way down is no less surprising. On a staircase adorned with hundreds of little Buddhas, man passes through his own path of purification. At the foot, at the entrance in the shape of a dragon's mouth, there are 33 sculptures, embodiments of different faces of the Kannon, and 12 more, symbolizing the signs of the Chinese calendar. Everything here is impregnated with silence and respect for life. Even the air around it seems special, filled with the fragrance of incense and the gentle sound of the wind. It is said that the Japanese named their famous company Kannon in honor of this goddess. And perhaps this is no accident, because both in the photograph and in the prayer, there is one thing in common: the desire to stop the instant, to keep what cannot be held by hands. And as I left Sendai, watching the sun setting behind the white silhouette of the goddess Kannon, I suddenly thought, mercy and freedom are only two sides of the same truth. Some pray for forgiveness, others for strength to stand. And somewhere in the middle between these two worlds, between oceans and continents, there is another symbol, a woman of steel holding a sword and a shield. So I ended up in Kyiv, at the foot of the motherland, one of the most powerful images of the 20th century. When the sun rises above the Kyiv hills, it first touches the cold metal from which the motherland is made. This statue is not just a monument. It is the embodiment of the unbending spirit of a people who saw war face to face and yet remained standing. It was opened in May 1981 and has since become part of the city's landscape. From a distance, it looks like a stone goddess, but under the thin shell are hidden thousands of human stories. Sculptor Vasily Barodier and the team of engineers have created it so that every stroke reminds, memory is also a weapon. The height of the monument reaches 102 meters, and every meter of this height is filled with the power of gratitude. In the right hand of the motherland holds a sword, in the left, a huge shield. When you stand down, these objects seem unwieldy, but they are the meaning of an era. They symbolize protection, not rage, determination, not revenge. The wind from the Dnieper is cooling, and it seems as if the statue itself breathes with the city. Over the years, it has seen a lot. In 2023, its shield was removed from the Soviet coat of arms and replaced by the trident, a symbol of independent Ukraine. And now, when you look from the bottom up, it seems as if time itself is rising by its shape, from the past to the present. Up there, under the crown of heaven, she stands silently above the river, guarding a city where pain and pride live side by side. And now, let's move to the west, where the sun warms the earth softer, and over the waters of the river, Taju spread the hands of Christ the Redeemer. In Almada, just a few kilometers from Lisbon, stands Cristo Rei, a statue that seems to bless every house below. It was built not for glory, but as a thanksgiving to God. When World War II swept across Europe, the Portuguese prayed that their land would be spared, and when the war was over, the women of the country collected donations to erect a monument in honor of saving their husbands and sons. Thus, in 1959, above Lisbon, Christ rose, majestic and simple. The height of the whole building is 103 meters. Christ himself, 28, and the post under him, 75. It stands on a hill rising above the sea, and from its viewing platform you can see how the Tagus River connects with the Atlantic, where sky and water become the same color. The figure with open hands is visible from afar, from bridges, from old streets of the capital, from ships entering the port. And when the city lights up in the evening, it seems that Christ is not just standing. He embraces all this space, keeping the world from chaos. His gaze is not harsh, but rather full of compassion, as if he reminds everyone, the world exists as long as there is a place for goodness. But there are places in the world where silence sounds louder than prayer. One of them is on the island of Hainan in China. There, on the very shore of the South China Sea, stands a statue of the goddess Guanyin, custodian of mercy and protector of all life. I remember that day. The sun rose from behind the horizon, and its first rays fell on the golden outlines of its three faces. One looks at the land, the other at the sea, and the third as if facing heaven. Three views, three meanings: protection, wisdom, and compassion. Guanyin stands on a thin isthmus connecting the land and the sea as a bridge between spiritual and earthly. Its height is 108 meters, and it seems that every meter is impregnated with goodness. It was built in 2005, above the temple, where the bells still ring and the nephrite lamps are burning. Inside, at the foot, you can see pilgrims coming here from all over Asia, from China, Korea, Vietnam, Japan. They don't pray loudly. They just stand in silence, as if feeling the breath of the goddess herself. When you look at it from the height of a bird's flight, you realize the man who created this statue did not just erect a monument. He tried to give the world the confidence that good is still stronger. And wherever you are, in a noisy metropolis or on an unnamed island, this Guanyin gaze will always remind you that compassion is not weakness, but the greatest strength. From China, I returned to Japan, where the air smells of incense and cycads. In the city of Ushiku, which is 50 kilometers from Tokyo, above the green valleys rises a bronze giant, Daibutsu Ushiku. Its height is 120 meters, and the post under it like a separate mountain, taking a look at the sky. It was erected in memory of Shinran, the founder of the Jodo Shinsho Buddhist school. And if in China, the goddess Guanyin embraces the world with kindness, then the Japanese Buddha is the embodiment of peace. Standing at the foot of a tree, time seems to slow down here. Every sound, step, breath, even grass rustling, becomes part of the prayer. Inside the statue, 4 levels. On the first plays quiet music, and the air is filled with perfume. On the second are scrolls and texts written by monks. The third keeps 3,000 golden figures of the Buddha, and when the light of a lamp falls on them, the hall is filled with soft radiance. And the fourth level opens up a panorama of surroundings: forests, mountains, and distant city. Everything around seems infinitely peaceful. I went up there in the elevator, and the higher I got, the clearer I understood. It's not just a place of power, it's a reminder of the inner silence that we all so rarely listen to. Giant Buddha Ushiku does not call to speak. He teaches silence, and sometimes it is in silence that you can hear more than in words. But sometimes a man builds not out of faith or pain, but out of admiration for the miracle of discovery itself. I remember the first time I saw birth of a new world on the coast of Puerto Rico. A huge statue rising over the Atlantic Ocean as if to remind the world of the audacity of human dreams. Its height is 126 meters, almost 40 floors, but it's not the size that impresses, but the meaning embedded in the metal. This monument is dedicated to Christopher Columbus, the man who first crossed the ocean to find new lands. His bronze face faces the horizon, where the sky and the sea converge in one point, like two worlds that he once united. I stood at the foot and listened as the wind glided over the bronze plates, leaving a subtle sound, as if history itself were speaking to you in its ancient language. birth of a new world, continuation of the idea, birth of a new man, established in Seville. 2 monuments, 2 points on the map, beginning and end of the Great Way. And it is no coincidence that their author was Zurab Tsereteli, a man for whom the monument is not just a stone, but a feeling frozen in time. The sculpture survived Hurricane Maria in 2017, one of the most devastating in the history of the region. And yet, it remained standing, because it was built not only on strength, but also on faith. The belief that the light once lit by man cannot be extinguished by wind or storm. And then my journey took me to Myanmar, a country where the morning fog is rolling down the hills as if the land itself were praying. There, among fields and villages, under a sky of saffron, stands Joon Sa Saja, a statue of the Buddha looking far away with serene serenity. Its height is 129 meters, and even against this background, it seems higher than the clouds. It was built for 12 years, starting from 1996, without luxury, without great sponsors, only the forces of ordinary people. Every stone, every metal plate is a donation, every day an act of faith. In 2008, when the construction was completed, the entire region was filled with light, not from spotlights, but from human joy. The standing Buddha rests on a 13-meter-high pedestal. Inside, 27 floors, where visitors pass through as if on the steps of self-knowledge. From the top of the viewing platform, there is a view of the endless plains. Where the fields stretch, there are roads, and somewhere far away, a river in which the Buddha himself is reflected. For the locals, it's not just a statue, it's a place of power. People come here to stand quietly at their feet and remember what they live for. Sometimes, someone leaves a flower, someone a jug of water, and someone just sits on a rock and looks up. And at this moment, it seems that the earth itself becomes quieter. When I was leaving from there, the wind smelled of incense, and somewhere far away, a monk sang. His voice disappeared in the sky, and I suddenly understood everything that man creates from faith. He lives longer than man. But when my path led to the Chinese village of Jiaotsun, I realized some places are not just built by people. They seem to have grown from the earth itself. In front of me stood the Vairocana Buddha, which the locals call the Spring Temple Buddha. Its height is 208 meters. Even the mountains that lie far away seem to be beneath his shoulders. This monument was created at the beginning of 2000 as a symbol of inner awakening, as a prayer addressed not to the sky, but to the man himself. At first, the statue was only 128 meters, but later it was placed on additional pedestals so that it rose even higher, as if nature itself lifted it to the sun. The Buddha is made of gold, copper, and steel. More than 1,000 individual fragments are combined into one body, a symbol of steadfastness and peace. Standing at the foot of this monument is said to be like standing at the beginning of time. The wind whistles between the folds of his clothes, and in this sound there is something of the breath of the world. There is a temple nearby, where bells ring and candles are lit. People bring flowers, rice, incense, not as a gift, but as a reminder. Spiritual greatness begins with simple acts. Vairocana Buddha looks through space and time, connecting past, present, and future in one glance. But all that I saw before seemed only a preparation to meet the last giant, the one who became the symbol of an entire nation. India, the land of ancient rivers and the smell of spices, a place where life flows like music. And among its hills, on the island of Sathu, stands the Statue of Unity, the tallest monument on the planet. Its height is 240 meters. Just think, above the clouds, above anyone who has ever tried to reach the sky. It is erected in honor of Vallabhi Patel, the man who united India after independence. And this is the essence of its name, unity. When you stand at the foot, the figure seems alive. She is dressed in traditional dhoti and shawl, and her face is calm and wise. The gaze is directed far away, to where the sun rises above the river Narbad. They built it for 3.5 years with thousands of people, engineers, craftsmen, simple workers, and each of them left a part of themselves in bronze. The monument is divided into 5 zones. Below is a museum where the history of India is collected. Above is a viewing platform from where you can see the fog over the river. There, at the top, everything seems different. The noise of the world remains below, and only a feeling of greatness and peace remains. When you look at this figure from below, it evokes awe. And when you look from above, from its height, it seems that the earth itself worships a man, but not out of fear, out of respect. For he who is able to unite millions of hearts has already earned his place among the Titans. And then, when my journey was over, I realized these statues are not just stone, not just bronze. They are traces of the human soul that wants to be heard. Every nation, every age has left its symbol: freedom, faith, compassion, memory, or unity. Be one and you. Subscribe to the channel. There are many more trips ahead.